Over a year ago, a Trump supporter threatened to rape and murder me. And now that I've attended the sentencing hearing, I'm here with an update. My name is Brittany Page, and this is the Page Perspective. Although I've heard from many of you wanting an update, I fully recognize that many of you have no idea what's going on, so I'll start here. I've hosted a political show called I Doubt It with my partner in life and podcasting, Jesse Dollemore, since 2014. We quickly realized we wanted to have a voicemail line to hear from listeners, and it became an essential part of the show. In the time we've been doing the public-facing political commentary that we do, we've received a handful of death threats serious enough to report to authorities. These reportable threats are separate and apart from the usual hateful stuff all over the internet comment section, or even an aggressive email. When someone calls without blocking their phone number, when they have no problem identifying themselves, sending a message directly from a real profile and making an explicit threat of bodily harm, these are real concerns. Over the years, the fear of whether these threats would translate into real-life violence certainly grew, especially with cases like Paul Pelosi having a troubled person enter his home and hammer him in the head. The political climate has grown more toxic with Trump at the helm, and this was made clear on April 29th, 2024, when we received 2 voicemails to our podcast voicemail line that contained rape and death threats for us both. And you may have heard them, but if you haven't, I'll play them for you back to back so you can have a reminder.
You fucking piece of shit. You're fucking dead. You and your family, motherfucker. You're fucking dead. Your wife is an ugly fucking cunt. We're gonna rape that fucking ugly bitch and kill her, you cocksucker.
So when we heard this, we realized that it was serious, and we took it seriously, and we immediately reported them to the local police and the FBI. Within 48 hours, we'd received confirmation that the detective assigned to our case had called the man that made these calls, and that he admitted to making the threats. Why? Well, you'll see it there in those documents. And just reading from that note that you see there from the detective, quote, "During that interview, the defendant initially denied knowledge of the voicemail messages. However, as the interview progressed, the defendant admitted to leaving the voicemail messages due to frustration after listening to the content of the podcast and YouTube channel. Moreover, the defendant said he did not intend to carry out the threats. Due to frustration after listening to the content of the podcast and YouTube channel." Imagine picking up the phone and threatening to rape and murder people because they criticized Donald Trump. So after one full year of continuous check-in calls, asking for updates, hoping for some sort of consequence, we finally got confirmation of an arrest, then a call from a prosecutor letting us know the terms of sentencing, and then yesterday we attended that sentencing hearing. It was the first time that I saw the man who made the phone calls. I know his name. I know his birth date. I know where he lives. I'm not publishing this information for a number of reasons I won't go into, but I'm sure you can understand, and I hope that you do. I felt a lot of things watching the court proceedings: rage, sadness, disgust. The hearing was roughly 40 minutes, and part of that included the prosecutor reading aloud the words that you just heard on that voicemail in front of the judge, in front of me and Jesse, in front of a courtroom full of people. I will say one part of this frustrated me, though, because the prosecutor actually censored the word cunt when he read the transcript. He said something like the negative word for female or something. And I was sitting there like, no. We all need to hear this. We need to hear the full weight of this ugliness. He, the man who made the call, he needs to hear that. But I'd planned to say something until I realized I wouldn't be able to. And since I didn't get to say it there, I'd like to say it here, if you all will let me. I am grateful that there has been a response in this case. Let me start there. It is disturbing that in our current political climate, people feel comfortable threatening rape and murder in response to differing political beliefs. I never received confirmation whether the defendant was holding a child in his lap when he threatened rape and murder, as it sounded like on the voicemail. But if he was, and even if he wasn't, I genuinely hope he gets the help that he needs. The same values that led me to my progressive political beliefs lead me to feel sympathy for the defendant, despite his attack on me and Jesse. I hope he finds his way to understanding the level of manipulation he's been subjected to get to the point where he threatens rape and murder against people who criticize Donald Trump in a YouTube video. I'm grateful to the court for intervening to ensure this threat did not escalate to actual physical harm. I hope this case is representative of where we are headed as far as holding people accountable for the threats they make online. We can never know when someone will or will not act on a threat, and it is important that we take it seriously every time. Thank you. And that is my hope. The first threat we ever reported, I remember the responding officer being incredibly dismissive. But now we're in this place where people are radicalized by the racism and bigotry and other hateful rhetoric they hear constantly from those walking the halls of power. And we don't know when threats will become more than just a threat. Sometimes there isn't even a threat preceding an act of violence, and I am very aware of that too. So I don't know. It's scary times, but this left me feeling like some progress has been made, that something can be done to hold people accountable. And I just want to pause for a second and say, go watch Jesse's video, because this also involves threats on his life, and he has his own perspective, and he's doing a video about this as well. And listen, as I was going through this process, I thought of all the people who have been harmed by the justice system, other victims of crimes who do not get justice. I thought of the rape kit backlogs that exist across the country, and I feel lucky that anything even happened at all, especially with Donald Trump and his lackeys infiltrating the DOJ and the DC Attorney's Office. So it's good and bad. It feels like progress, but it doesn't. I don't know. With so few wins right now, I'm going to take it as one while I continue to try to do what I can to protect myself online and offline. I appreciate the community of people who care. I wanted to make sure you had this update, and who knows, maybe it will be a reminder to people who need to think twice before they pick up a phone, or even if they want to follow through on dangerous thoughts, there will be consequences. What do you think? Call and leave me a fewer than 3-minute voicemail at 202-656-1509 or send an email to idoubtit@dollemore.com. You can support my work by becoming a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month or by going to patreon.com/idoubtitpodcast. Quick update, I interviewed another author, and this interview will come out on Tuesday, June 10th at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'll put a post in my community tab with a link to the interview so you can click the notification button to get notified. I talked to journalist and author Megan Greenwell, who wrote this awesome new book, Bad Company, Private Equity, and the Death of the American Dream. She was so fun to talk to. She's so smart, and you're going to love the conversation and learn a lot. So please be sure to check it out. All right. I know this was a heavy one, so thanks for being here. Take care, and I'll see you next time.